was an extremely reluctant pioneer of bubble. I was very, very happy at the Royal Court. I thought I'd made it, actually. This, you know, fantastic things were happening at the court in '71, and it was very exciting. It was a triumvirate. Bill Gaskell was the head of the triumvirate, although you're not supposed to say that. Lindsay Anderson and Anthony Page, and it was humming. You know, it was written theatre upstairs, Rocky Horror Show, all that. So I hoped that nobody was going to shift me. And then I got a phone call from one of the most charming people on this planet, who's Peter James, who I'd known I'd known him since university, actually. And he rang me up and said that the Greater London Arts Association had got this idea for a touring company to tour the outer London boroughs, and they'd very much like to talk to me about the possibility of running it. I was incredibly rude, even to Peter, and says, absolutely no way. I am not a touring animal. I'm fed up with, because I've done it for 6 years at Sheffield Playhouse. I don't want to go to drafting on. Oh, don't want to do this. I'm grizzly caretakers. There's no way I want to do a touring company, especially in the outer London boroughs. It sounds like death. So Peter, unabashed, he never took no for an answer, said, well, come and tell them why you don't want to do it then. And like a fool, I said, okay. And I went in, I'd rehearsed my speech, why I didn't want to do it, which was everything I'd said to Peter anyway. I can't bear the idea of, you know, being despised by everybody, of going to these ghastly institutional places. I didn't even like theatres. I don't particularly like theatres now. So it was the worst thing, and I was being wrenched out of somewhere I loved. But I obviously had this doomy feeling that it was somehow my destiny, to put a wanky term on it. So then, after all this tirade, some sweet person said, well, what would make you want to do it? So, out of nowhere, I said, wow, you know, if we could take our own home with us, that would be something else. If we could be a kind of, you know, have like a snail thing on our backs and then suddenly appear in a park or you know, some sort of waste space or whatever. And it would be like a glittery sort of bubble. And it would float in, and then we would do entertaining, joyous, all sorts of things, maybe the classics, but we would be accessible, it would be cross-gender, cross-age, you know, be kidler. And then at the end of the week, we would just float off again, you know, like a bubble, leaving weeping people behind us, begging us to come back again. And, well, I suppose that might be quite interesting. And then I looked at their faces and I thought, oh God, they've bitten this. And sure enough, it was Ed Mendelsohn who was behind all this, and of course he's here, so he knows. And they went, yeah, okay, do it. Oh, Christ. So, having put forward this daft idea, it then somehow people, you know, when you look at bright-eyed, bushy-tailed people getting impassioned by something, you just get this awful thing that you can't let them down. And I'm afraid that's the demon that I've carried all my life. I can't bear letting people down. So I've got to do this idiotic thing. And the fact that people believed it could be done just helped me no end. And it was horrific. I mean, the planning, the organisation, the expense of it was ridiculous. But we commissioned a polyhedral, the very, very first structure. It had tin sides, which was first mistake, you know, with little slits in them, so people who couldn't get in, and it was amazing how many people did come, could peer through the and shout obscenities through the And in fact, Shane Connaughton, who is very sorry he couldn't be here tonight, was one of the original members of the Bubble. He lost the plot one night as this kid had relentlessly, it was all part of the fun if people shouted through the cracks, but he got so fed up with it one night, he had a humour bypass and rushed to the side and spat in his kid's face. This kid's going, he spat at me, the bastard! I mean, there's millions of them, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't have time. He's looking for the yellow card right now. So I'll just move on to say the first show we did, which could have sunk us if it wasn't wasn't any good was the London Blitz show, which sounds very cosy, very kind of patronising and very ridiculous. But actually it was everything that I wanted the company to be. It was atmosphere, it was an event, and the air raid siren used to blare all over the parks or whatever. And people were into the role of being sheltering from the blinking air raid before they had a chance to protest about involvement. And in they came, and indeed, if you look at the photographs downstairs, you will see that cross exactly what people in theatre were dying for in those days, to get people over their doorstep who didn't go to theatre. And there they all were. It was extraordinary. And it wasn't, I mean, the company were the happy shelterers, which sounds ridiculous, but, you know, that they did entertainment to keep people happy until the raid was over. And it was wonderful. The company kind of, a lot of them conned themselves in. They were supposed to be actor musicians because I was very into music. I thought music had to be part of everything you did. I still do. And also interesting, eccentric things. Now, Shane Connaughton said that he could balance 6 bicycles on his chin, which I decided to believe. Paul Blake said he could play the spoons, which of course would be great for a Blitz show entertainment. Shane was very quickly found out, but one of the photographs does show him balancing some stick or other with a top hat on it, so he did have to make a contribution. Paul did imaginary spoons through about 2 weeks of rehearsals, and then somebody called his bluff and gave him a set of real spoons because they went all over the place. So it was full of that. It was full of the kind of blagging that people still do to get jobs in theatre, and good luck to them. And now I'm going to move on very quickly, because I'm going to be booed off in a minute, is what new ground will be breaking, and did those seeds take root and blossom, or did they fall on stony ground? You can never say that you are the prime innovator. I mean, the Commedia dell'arte, the mummers used to go to pubs and go and say, hello, they were actor musicians way before Bubble took root. So I can't lay claim to anything. Nothing has never been thought of before. But I suppose what we did bring, no, I'm sure what we did bring that sense of joy and magic into theatre, which is still dear to my soul to this day, and of really making sure the place was packed with everybody who felt they belonged to it. We ran into some terrible problems, as you can imagine, but now, when I'm forced to look back on things, I never look back, as Jonathan, bless him, knows. I've actually never set foot in Bubble since I left, because I don't believe in being Banquo's ghost, but here I am tonight, and I think that's part of an important harmony somehow, that I'm here after 40 years again, because when somebody comes up to me and says, I saw Bubble in so-and-so, it was fantastic, so you get this surge of delight, and I still do. And the fact that many drama schools now run actor-musician courses, and the fact that it is now quite a very important thing, that you can be a good actor and you can be a good musician, and they're there, is very important to me. And I think that I'm thrilled about that, from Paul's imaginary spoons, you know, now to people who can play the cello in every plastic chord you can imagine and do all sorts of things and contribute to events. I love event theatre. I love, doesn't mean to say you can't be challenging, which we certainly were, I hope. No, we were. But that I think is why I'm proud of it and thrilled that it is still going on. And I hope with the same joy that I got suddenly when I saw the elephant come to town, when I had a grumpy old face on me and was going to try and pay some bills at the post office and really fed up, and suddenly this bloody great elephant comes round the corner. I just think, yes, this is what I want. I want the surprise, and I want the magic and the joy of involving people in something they didn't expect. Thank you.
Thank you.